Guys, anime live action. When I say that, the majority of people that those words mean anything to will shudder at the thought. Trying to translate the fantastical 2D worlds within the bounds of our real life is an incredibly difficult task. There have been so many failed projects over the years. Highlights including the live action Attack on Titan, the live action Cowboy Bebop, and the travesty that was Dragon Ball Evolution. So many, in fact, that we as anime fans almost gave up. Almost. Because in August 2023, the project that fundamentally changed what it means to be a live action dropped. The One Piece live action. Despite, of course, not being absolutely perfect, many would agree that Season 1 was the first wildly successful live action adaptation. And now, almost 2 years later, we're getting our first look at Season 2. In case you somehow have been living under a rock, the One Piece live action has just dropped its Season 2 teaser trailer. And so, of course, we gotta talk about it. Before we break down the greatness that is the live action though, y'all, I need y'all to do something for me. Like the video, okay? Very important. Subscribe to the channel for more One Piece and anime content just like this every week. And share it around with all your friends who love the series. You know we always say here, let's get it going. And make sure you subscribe to me and my boys over at CSY. Now, Season 2 has its own title, Into the Grand Line. And this makes sense. From the information that we learned about Season 2 from last summer, this season focuses on the Straw Hats actually entering the Grand Line and seeing all the more fantastical stuff about the world for the first time. Arc-wise, it'll include Logtown, Reverse Mountain, Whiskey Peak, Little Garden, and end at Drum Kingdom. No Alabasta, at least not yet, as that is clearly going to be saved for Season 3, which we'll talk about at the end. Now, since we are ending at Drum Kingdom, I do have a bit of reservations about Wappo being the season finale villain. But I guess we're just gonna have to see how the buildup of Baroque works and everything else flows. The trailer starts with a shot of the Mary sailing towards the Red Line, before seeing shots of Logtown and what looks to be Little Garden, especially with Zoro cutting through the brush with the Kisuke Urahara bucket hat. Ain't no way Zoro got so lost that he ended up in Bleach. But one thing about this live action that you can immediately tell is that they put a lot into their set design. Not only does it look amazing, but there's so many small details and key Easter eggs for people who are hardcore fans. We then get a look at Cactus Island, which houses Whiskey Peak, and the Straw Hats strolling through it. It definitely matches the kind of Wild West vibe that town gives, and I like it. Some people are saying that it looks a bit too fake for their liking, and honestly, I kinda rock with that. Cause if you think about it, the entirety of Whiskey Peak was indeed fake. It was just a front to be able to lure pirates in so that, as the bounty hunters, they can cash in the bounties. So honestly, it being like some sort of quick constructed front, I'm down with that. I don't even remember if that was a manga thing, but if so, this would be something that would even elevate the manga material. Then we switch back to Logtown, but we see a circus set up there, where I'm assuming that that's where we're gonna have Buggy's reintroduction. Obviously, Buggy didn't set up a whole circus for himself back in the manga, so I think that they were just looking for a clever way to tie him back in and have him actually, install himself on Logtown. We see Gold Roger's scaffold, so I'm sure the scaffold scene with Buggy almost decapitating Luffy is still gonna happen. After that, we have Nami saying, "What was that?" And as giant footsteps are heard, we get our first look at Broggy, who is played by Brendan Murray. So it seems the way they're gonna do giants is by playing with the angles, since you have a shot looking up right behind Nami to really portray just how big Broggy is. I actually like it. I think it gives a pretty decent sense of scale already. And again, this is just one shot, so I'm sure that the angles that they're gonna be able to play with, especially dead-on ones, is gonna look even bigger. And then we have our first look at my wife, Nico Robin, who is played by Lara Abova. We see CGI of her Hana Hana no Mi flower petals being used to burst open a door. So, a few things to note here. Firstly, I've seen some people concerned that they're not actually going to show her sprouting hands and, appendages ability just because it seems like they're changing it to the flower petals only. Y'all, calm down. She is opening a door. Clearly, we're going to be able to see a much better shot of the way her abilities look. Her abilities play a key part in her story and in multiple arcs, so they're not just going to change that. But one thing I noted is that Robin's already in her Miss All Sunday outfit. In the manga, the only time we see Robin before the Alabasta arc is during her introduction at the end of Whiskey Peak, when she's wearing her purple outfit only and just sitting on the railing. Oh yeah, and of course, blowing up Igaram. It begs the question of where is this scene taking place? Because as she opens the door to either side, we see bust statues of Sengoku and Kong. So it looks like she's breaking into a marine base or something. The thing that we gotta remember is that they're likely going to try to start building the hype for Alabasta now. So they're probably gonna be adding in extra scenes for Crocodile and Robin during the B plot. Then we see Smoker, played by Callum Kerr, getting off his Billor bike in Logtown, and y'all, he looks fantastic. Literally exactly the way I imagine a real life smoker to look. And what I'm really excited for is to see the way that they're gonna do Logia effects, just being able to turn your body into an element. His power is smoke, so of all the Logias around the story, it's a pretty easy one to have to start with. We get a little bit more of Little Garden, no pun intended, as we see Luffy running through the forest, but also Sanji opening up the small wax house that Mr. 3 made for himself, which makes me wonder if we're gonna be getting the Unluckies. And honestly, I hope so. Y'all, CGI has come so far, it could look so great. And I know that there's such a minor part of the events that if there was something that needed to be cut out for budget constraints, it would probably be them, but still, it would be hilarious. And I'm already envisioning how the Mr. Prince call with Sanji on the phone is how they're gonna introduce Crocodile's character. A cool chair turn like a Bond villain or something like that. Then we get our first look at Charithra Chandran playing Vivi, attacking with her peacock slashers. And here's where things got controversial. Over on Twitter, because everything toxic happens on Twitter, people were slandering her, saying that it's crazy that they made Vivi black because she is portrayed as white in the manga. First of all, this poor girl isn't even black. That's just blatant racism. Second of all, they just wanted a darker skinned person to represent a desert kingdom. I don't see a problem with that. I don't think they were actively trying to make a statement about race or ethnicity either way. They just chose something that still made sense. So the fact that that's what people are zoning in on is heinous. And third of all, regardless of what you say, Oda himself signed off and chose her to play the role. So whatever you feel about it is ultimately irrelevant if the author of the series himself said yes, this is the one. We then see a quick montage of the Straw Hats fighting, Zoro fighting off the Baroque Works agents in Whiskey Peak, which I'm not gonna lie, I am incredibly excited to see that one-sided affair. We know it's gonna be peak. We're gonna get to see Makenyu go absolutely ham. And apparently he's bringing in his own action stunt squad because the people that they were doing him with previously couldn't keep up with his routine. So you already know the fights is gonna be A1. Then the Straw Hats are fighting Buggy's men at the circus, which I'm thinking is gonna lead to the scaffold scene naturally. Then it also seems like Nami is directly attacking Alvida. Her slip fruit isn't a hard devil fruit to recreate in real life, so I'm just interested in seeing how it's gonna glide off. But also, honestly, props to the actress because she actually grinded to lose all the weight in order to, actually fit the weight loss of Alvida. They could have easily gotten somebody else, but she said, nah, I'm dedicated, I wanna do this. We also see a Gum Gum Gatling, and I'm not gonna lie, it was a bit funny to me because he just looks like a flailing octopus. Like, I get it, it can never be perfect, yes, that's true. But for me, I think what does it is that it seems like they're going like wildly to the side. It doesn't seem like they're aiming punches like this. And then we see, of course, as they come down Reverse Mountain, a truly giant CGI whale for Laboon. And then at the very end of the trailer, the part that excited me the most personally, it's announced that season 3 is setting sail soon, which means they're likely recording season 3 right now. Damn near back to back with the last one. And all it means for us is that the wait time between season 2 and season 3 is going to be way shorter than the wait time between season 1 and season 2. Honestly, might even be less than a year. Who knows? Expected much quicker at least. We don't get anything with Chopper, but considering that we had a whole intro trailer just to introduce him and the way that he's gonna speak, I think that that's alright. In fact, we got nothing from Drum Kingdom at all, as well as from Crocodile or the rest of Baroque Works either. So how do I feel about it? Honestly, pretty excited. I love One Piece a lot. It's my favorite series bar none. So being able to see it translated in this fashion, it really brings it to life for me. It's actually pretty dope. I will say that season 2 and I guess season 3 is what's really going to determine the length of this project. Season 1 had a lot of hype generated around it. One is because just naturally, it was adapting one of the most popular pieces of fiction in history. But the other is that because it was just the first live action that wasn't god awful. But right now we gotta see whether that hype can be sustained longevity wise, especially with the newcomers. That's the thing you gotta remember. A lot of true hardcore One Piece fans are gonna just end up watching this naturally because it's another thing of the One Piece media. But the goal of this project was to bring in new people into liking One Piece, so let's see how much that can actually sustain. Somebody who's never seen the manga or anime, just how much would you be absorbed into this? So that remains to be seen. And that doesn't mean that I won't criticize things that personally don't work for me, because as I always say, you can never truly love something if you're not able to criticize it, but I'm still gonna remain hopeful that it works out. But I'm curious, what do you guys think about the One Piece live action season 2? Are you feeling excited like I am? You're a bit more apprehensive, but still like, okay, let's go? Or has this kind of been like, okay, I can see it taking a nosedive, it's not that great? In my opinion, it seems set to be at least much better than season 1. But let me know all that and more in the comments below. Of course, this is going to be a shorter video, y'all, but before we go, please like it, subscribe, and share it around to all your friends who love the series, or anime and manga in general. Remember, trying to build a community here, but I need your help to do it. That's going to be all from me. I'll catch you on the next one, and always remember, One Piece, One Life. This has nothing to do with the live action, but have y'all heard the new anime opening? Carmine or however it's called? This is one of the first openings in a long time that has immediately bolted into my top 10 from first listen. The very fact that it's harkening back to the old days of Naruto and Bleach is just, oh my god. And then the visuals are stunning. I'm serious, it's definitely in my top 10.